It's second from the bottom versus second from the top. It's Rajasthan taking on Delhi in the next matchup of the Indian T20 League. I'm in the company of Mandira, Lalvani and Ayaz, Memon. Mandira, Ayaz, welcome to the show.
Thanks, you very much.
Pleasure to be here as always.
Great to have you. Mandira, who are the players that you are banking on to make an impression in this encounter?
See, from Delhi and their consistent performance so far, it's actually difficult to pick three because I think all of them are firing on all cylinders and consistently. However, let's start with that. The fact that they're struggling to fit in their playing 11, a fit Ajinkya Rahane speaks volumes about how they're spoiled for choice. Let me start with the bowlers. Of course, Kagiso Rabada is an obvious option with his figures consistency. But I'd also like to have a look here at Akshar Patel. He has very nicely and very effectively taken over the role of creating pressure. It's because of his overs that Rabada makes such quick game of the rest of the wickets. He's the one who compels the players who play like dot balls or singles. And this is what we saw in the match against Bangalore. So definitely Akshar Patel, who's like the quiet weapon, but very, very effective and very, very lethal. Marcus Stoinis. I think Delhi's got such a fantastic finisher in Stoinis. He just continues to amaze. He's now being likened to Kieron Pollard or the Pandya brothers in the tail of the Mumbai batting order because that's how deep he's taken Delhi to be. So I think Delhi is in terrific form and tremendous nick, and it's just they found the right spots. So those are my three for Delhi. For Rajasthan, let's not forget that they are now back to their happy hunting ground. They're going to be back in Sharjah, which is where they won both their matches. So that is going to be a big confidence booster for them, and they need it. At the middle period of the 2020 tournament, that kind of a jostle where, a few games here or there could really go a long way much later. So over here, my picks are going to be the batsmen. Definitely Josh Butler, Steve Smith and Sanju Samson. All three of them. I think it depends a lot on how the kind of scores they set up. And Sanju Samson in particular, because like we spoke earlier, he scored fantastically in the first two matches that he played. He had 2 soft dismissals thereafter. And he is a person who needs to click for his team really to, have a decent score because he's that power hitter. So those are my 3 batsmen that I have in my order. And Tom Curran, only 3 wickets so far. So I'm interested to see how the team management strategizes. Are they going to leave him out to put David Miller, but then be short a fast bowler? So that is just a bit of a quandary in there. So the 3 batsmen, and I'm speaking in a bowler.
Thank you so much, Mandira. Ayaz, over to you.
Now that Mandira's finished the power play, let me come to the middle overs. So, well, she's actually made some very interesting points, which I want to elaborate on because I concur with a lot of what she has said. Akshar Patel, he's actually been fabulous. He's been the unsung hero for Delhi in the bowling department. And remember, he also bats. He fields well in the deep. So he's a great asset. And in the absence of Amit Mishra, who got injured and is out for the rest of the tournament, he's become an even more crucial player. Remember, Ashwin was also injured. So, he's probably nursing or he's at least still vulnerable. So Akshar becomes very critical. Having said that, my 3 players from Delhi would be Prithvi Shaw. He's been fantastic at the start. You can club him along with Rohit Sharma and Shane Watson and Rahul and Mayank Agarwal is one of those who can take the match away from the opposition of his own bat alone. Then there's Kagiso Rabada, and one word which Mandira mentioned still holds true for me also, which is wow. He's just so good at the start, at the death, in the middle overs, wherever you bowl him, because he's just so good. And he's good on these pitches where a lot of the overseas fast bowlers are actually getting clobbered badly because they just don't seem to be able to adjust their length. He's been able to do it. So he's my second pick. And the third is Ravichandran Ashwin. Now, he's not bowled too much in this series. He's got injured. Remember, he got injured after picking up 2 wickets. It's the only over he bowled in his first match. He's come back. And he's a feisty cricketer. He's in the thick of the action. He didn't run out Aaron Finch, who had stepped away or he strayed away from his crease. Though he's known to be, he's been advocating, he's been fighting for such dismissals. But hey, look at who he's going to play against. Josh Butler in this match. Who he ran out in similar fashion or in that fashion last year. So Ashwin, not just that, he's also his bowling prowess. He's just so canny and so crafty that he's a real asset. From Rajasthan, yes, they're in Sharjah. This is their happy luck hunting ground. They won 2 matches here. But the momentum, the run of form is so much against them. Who are the players who could help them? Obviously, Josh Butler. obviously Steve Smith, Josh Butler at the top of the order, Steve Smith as captain and perhaps in the middle order, and then Jofra Archer, all three overseas players. Sanju Samson, frankly, I must say, I was so flush with praise for him in the first week, but I'm having my compunctions now because season after season, he's started off well, or he's had one spell, second week, third week, where he's been brilliant, and then, consistency is obviously not his hallmark, and that's what has hurt him. Not just hurt his team, but it's also hurt Sanju Samson in the Indian team. He's been in and out.
Thank you so much, Ayaz. I think most would agree that Delhi are certainly odds-on favourites going into this encounter. But both of you mentioned that Rajasthan are back to Sharjah, which is what their happy hunting ground has been. So does that influence your prediction in any way? Delhi versus Rajasthan, who do you see winning this contest?
Not really. I mean, look, this is a T20 format, so anything can happen, as we know. I mean, the other night Kolkata beat Chennai in a game which looked like Chennai might, coast through. So things can happen. One good over, one bad shot can just completely, dramatically change the game. But what are the strengths of Rajasthan in Sharjah? Equally, if not more, the strengths of Delhi in Sharjah. They've got the power hitters. They've got a strong finisher in Stoinis. They've got Prithvi Shaw, Shreyas Iyer, Rishabh Pant. And they've got bowlers like Rabada and Ashwin and Akshar Patel, which unfortunately Rajasthan Royal don't have. So I would say I would stick with my prediction, which is of Delhi.
Great. Thank you so much, Ayaz. Mandira, over to you for your prediction.
It's really not a hard one to pick. Delhi all the way. I think they've got power starting from the top right to the bottom. The openers have come into their nick. Delhi was the only, if you had to look for a weak point, you could say, their start was somewhat slow. But in the last match, we saw a lot of intent in each of the players, in whether it was Shikhar Dhawan, whether it was Prithvi Shaw. So Delhi for me for sure. Head and heart.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Mandira. Thank you so much, Ayaz. So Delhi certainly odds-on favourites on paper heading into this encounter. But do let us know if you see an upset on the cards. Thank you so much for having joined us for another episode of Cricket Pundits. And do join us again as we build up to Kolkata versus Punjab. Thank you so much. Take care.